just a follow-up to my first video of our 2021 village setup. That was, I think, a little bit more kind of a daytime view, but this is a little bit more of a nighttime view, and I just wanted to show some of the lighting and special effects that I'm using this year that I'm sort of playing around with. Overall, I'm using just a cheap kind of Amazon purchased party projector, I guess, kind of disco projector, but set with kind of a lower brightness level and sort of speed setting. It gives it kind of a nice filling ripple effect, and it cycles through the different colors. Sometimes I think it puts too much light on, and it's nice to turn it off sometimes. So I've got that on a little foot pedal, so people can click it on and see the village, or click it off and get more of the nighttime midnight effect here. So this is my Isle of Doom with Foggy Point, which is a Department 56 piece, and I've always liked the Foggy Point, and it fits really well with Isle of Doom. But to add extra fog, I put in just two independent, two separate with the ultrasonic foggers, misters, just to double it up, and that's fine. And then what I was noticing was, even with that though, the fog would just kind of fill this part and then just kind of form a pillow and kind of sit there. And I really like it when the fog looks like it's kind of in motion and kind of bubbling up and spilling over the edge. It's water's a little bit low, but at the right height it really spills over the front edge here. And to get that effect, I'm just using just a generic little aquarium pump, and that's hooked into just a small line. There's actually two of them for something else, but a small line that I tuck that under the table, and then I feed the line into the back here, and just that small tiny air current keeps that fog churning, and I really like the way it looks. And the pump is really quiet. You don't hear it over the noise of everything else, so it's cool. Also, with our witches, we've got witches lair up here on our 3D printed pedestal, and we've got the little witches boiling the pilgrim, the heathen there, or whatever. Or I guess they're the heathens and whatever. Boiling the Puritan, I guess, is what they're doing. And so to get that kind of fiery effect out back there, I have an LED strip, small short LED strip that's running on another Amazon purchased little fire flicker module. So it just plugs in and just gives it that animated flicker effect. I think it's really cool, and there's different speeds and intensities of the flicker you can do, but I dig it, and it looks good. Last year I had it in like a cave, and it looked really good too. This year it's kind of a little bit different, but I think small investment, and it adds a lot of just animation to it. The other thing I've been experimenting with this year are Neopixels. So using the programmable LED strips, not strips in this case, they're just individual Neopixels connected by like 4 or 5 inch black wires. It's a string, I guess, of lights. Gluing those around, and they can be programmed into really fancy sequences with different brightness, animations, and all sorts of color effects. And those are running off an Arduino that I just have independently powered and tucked behind the table. I'm not very good at programming Neopixels yet, but I'm trying to learn that up. That would be worthwhile, but just using them to cast kind of smaller lights around on different parts of the display. And then, since I couldn't really program anything specific, I just have the entire string running an extremely slow fading, changing rainbow, and it's good. It's cool. It's like you don't notice the change really, but over a few minutes, each area changes from a different hue, and it's a pretty soft effect right now. And on some of them, I've I've hot glued these little plastic projector lights. And the projectors just give each Neopixel element a little bit more range. But I can also adjust the brightness on them too, I suppose. So I'm working on that, and that's something that I really like it overall, but I feel like it's sort of a work in progress that I would like to spend some time for next year just designing a better way to attach these to the display, to hide them, kind of embed them in the display, and maybe like using 3D printed bits and pieces, or even each one could be glued kind of behind a gravestone or something like that. So definitely want to play with that a little bit more. I'm trying to think. Over on this side, I'm just playing around with another projector just to give some fill lighting on this side of the display. And the only thing I'm doing a little different here is just because I had a what do you call it? Those the fairy lights, the string of fairy lights, and I just gave a stab at embedding those into the underside of the styrofoam piece that I'm using here, and then, for instance, embedding the fairy lights along the back of that train platform, the train bridge. That way, when you're looking at the setup from the front, it gives a nice kind of greenish, ghoulish kind of glow to all the buildings that are facing that way. So I don't really like the fairy lights as much because they're so hard to get in place, and they tend to be really bright when you're looking at them too. So like I try to cover the lights themselves with some tape or cloth or something. And also you can see, before I was using the Neopixels, or before I started the Neopixels, I've been using a lot of these. These are 12 volt LED spotlights, and they're connected on like a daisy chain kind of setup. These are really good lights in that they have a lot of reach. So as I was saying with the Neopixels, I was using these little projector lights to get some more reach. These little guys will hit buildings pretty far away. So I can kind of point one of these up at a building way up there, and it'll give it a nice bit of light. And they're cool too. Their colors are just little interchangeable LEDs, so you can color swap them around. I've got all different kinds. I've got UV and all the different colors. So those have been good. They're a little bulky to get fixed into place. And on these, I've started to do a few little 3D printed brackets to hold them on, but those still aren't working out not quite a finished product. So I was going to stop here and then do a quick shot of my power supply setup too. So stand by for that.